I want to ask you guys your biggest free agent, most notable free agent addition, whether it be a sleeper, a signing you hate. So I'm gonna give you guys 2, 3 signings I love. One signing I actually kind of hate, and it's a former number 2 overall pick that y'all might know. Do one of y'all want to go first?
Go
Yeah,
ahead, John.
I'll start. I think my favorite move so far of the offseason, I love John Wall going to the Clippers. I'm a big fan of it. A playmaking point guard is exactly what they needed. I don't think he's out of gas just yet. If he could stay on the court and will mesh well with Kawhi and PG, which I think he will, I think the Clippers have easily a top 5 team in the West or even a top 10 team in the NBA, period. Love the move, though. John Wall, I mean, I want to see him Dougie one more time for us. So,
are
let's
there any moves you don't like? Is there a move you did not like?
yes, I'm a Knicks fan. So, Jalen Brunson coming to the Knicks on that 4-year, $104 million deal.
You're on it.
I just need to get accustomed to it. I still have a bad taste in my mouth. I don't know if I like it yet. I don't know if I love it yet.
I might be able to help you a little bit. I'm not gonna get your hopes up. I had to sleep on it a little bit. It's incredible for a guard that's 6'1" to shoot 68% in the paint. That is what Jalen Brunson does. And he wasn't a high assist guy in Dallas because he's playing next to freaking Luka Doncic. I mean, he's playing off ball. He showed he can play off ball. He can play on ball. He can play make. I mean, without Luka, he was given freaking Utah 41 and 31 with no turnovers. He's a low turnover guy. And I think he's just going to bring stability for y'all. You're not a playoff team with him, probably. Maybe he can squeak in for the play-in. But that's okay because you're getting your best point guard. The more I think about it, in like, what, 20 years? Like, you haven't had a point guard like this
Yeah.
since he might be better than Stephon Marbury when he was in New York. I think Jalen's that good because, like I said, he can be a complementary piece. He can get to the rim, and as a 6'1" guard, he's crafty. He can shoot it. Reluctant. He's more selective, playing off ball as a spot up guy, but he's really efficient. One of the best scorers at his position, and it's like Terry Rozier money. I think he's better than Terry Rozier. He's young. Is he younger? I think Terry's 27. He's 26. I was turning 26 in a few weeks. I think for y'all, it's 21 million a year. I didn't like it at first, guys, saying, "What is the goal here? What are you guys striving for?" But then I realized, like, who else are you getting? Like, this is a win now move, but he's younger. He fits the timeline relatively. He's only 4 years older than RJ. I think it's actually a good move for the Knicks.
But you see, so I'm not completely sold on saying this is a terrible move or it's a great move. It's just like I said, as a Knicks fan, it's not we always look for the sexy move. We want that big name guard. We haven't had a big time point guard in a very long time. That's what we've been missing for years to come.
Sure.
And I don't think Jalen Brunson is that big time point guard that we need. While yes, he does make us better at the moment, I do believe that we're missing a star. We need a star.
Mhm.
That's why I see Brandon talking about Donovan Mitchell. I'm like, man, no, that guy needs to be in the Garden. He doesn't need to be in Miami. You guys have had enough. Stop being selfish. But yeah, I digress.
Do you
We
have
have a
any other?
great franchise.
Do you have any other
Huh?
signings? 'Cause I have a Nick signing I really like. I want to mention to you.
Go
What's up?
ahead. What is it?
Isaiah Hartenstein for 2 years, 16 million.
The
Did you guys
center?
see him on the Clippers?
Yeah.
He's better than Mitchell Robinson, who you guys gave a 4 year, $60 million contract to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm low on Mitch because I think he might have been saying it. He gained like 40 pounds for what?
He played stronger. I actually like the fact that he gained a little bit weight.
But he's less durable. He's more likely to break down to injuries, and
He
also
played,
he's
he
slower
played the
too.
most games he's ever played this past season.
Yeah, I mean that is true. But over time, when you're playing on that weight over years, 280 or 275. Last year he played, I think it was what 66 games, opposed to like 30 in 2020, 2021. You're right about that. So I came off maybe a little improper. I think over the course of 4 or 5 years, his body's more prone to break down playing at that weight. That's what I think. And he's also much lower. You can't deny that. And it's cool that he put on all that mass, but he played 72 games last year. Bro, you only play Jokic and Embiid like 6 times a year, and Valanciunas. What about the other 70 games? Like I don't. I honestly think he's overrated. He's good. He's fine. I wouldn't want to pay him over 10 million. I think Hartenstein. He does what he does at what Mitch can do as rim protector, but he's more mobile. He's 24, so he's young. But offensively, he actually has skill. He can pass pretty well. He can
Mhm.
facilitate. He can shoot it from mid range. Like he can legitimately shoot it. Like I'm not messing around.
Yeah.
Unlike Mitch, he can space it a little bit. And what separates him the most is his energy. He fouls a lot. He's young. This was his first year starting. He barely made the Clippers roster. He was fighting for the backup center spot of Harry Giles, who's out of the league now. He won it. He was, when you look at the advanced stats, ranking the 100th percentile and plus minus, he made a clear difference in every stage of his career, whether it was the time he spent in Houston, Cleveland, he bounced around the league, found a home in Los Angeles, and now the Knicks are committing to the former Clip center. And I say to myself, if he's not the starter by this year, next year, we're going to be saying Mitchell Robinson is expendable because of the center you brought in. And playing with Obi Toppin off the bench, you're going to love his energy. Nonstop hustle. He's going to fail out a lot, but I'm telling you, you're going to like his aggression.
From your mouth to God's ears. Let's see if it.
He's really good. I think very few people really noticed him because the Clippers had Ivica Zubac starting. But let me tell you, he is, if not the best backup center in the league, one of the up-and-coming starters. Only 4 years of playing experience. Bounced around the league. Now in New York, he's going to find himself a good home. And
So,
he's better
John,
than Mitch.
who's the signing that you did not like at all?
Marvin Bagley to Detroit. The extension. I'm not out on Marvin. I am out. Marvin Bagley with less expectation was good for the Pistons. But you draft Jalen Duren, you have Isaiah Stewart. Those guys are better centers. Marvin can't defend. He can't play center, but he's not a good enough three-point shooter to play the four off of those guys. You can't play him with another big. He still can't go right. He's good. And I think 3 years, $37 million. That's $10 million a year. It's fine. But I wouldn't commit that much money to a guy that we don't need. I think playing with Cade, he can be really good off the bench. And it reminds me a little bit of Obi Toppin, where he can run the floor well, he's athletic, he has good size, and he can, maybe post ups and mismatches, but I'm not paying Marvin Bagley more than $5 million. And for a team like the Pistons that have their young centers, I felt like it was an unnecessary extension. They also brought in Kevin Knox. They're getting all the former busts to pair up with, to try to rejuvenate. And I think it's cool. I think Bagley is better than we all make him out to be because the expectations are so high in Sacramento, but he's not that good. He's fine. He put up great numbers against rebuilding teams at the end of the year when no one was really trying. I think he's all right. Doesn't move me. And I think for the Pistons, I would have just saved up that cap space, dude. It's unnecessary. I think for all the young guys who are trying to develop, Marvin Bagley, do they get seconds to get him? But do you guys think Marvin Bagley will ever be a starting big? I don't think so. I don't think he's that good.
I'm not there.
His game is not going to if he could grow into a good 3-point shooter, I would say, okay. If the Pistons think he can develop into a good 3-point shooter, this is a move where I say, okay, it's fine. But as a guy that's been mostly average as a shooter, if you're a big man and you're average for the position at shooting 34% on low volume from three, you're not moving much, you're not spacing the floor brigade. So I'm low on that move. Also, the Knicks, they took a flying Lonnie Walker for the mid-level. I don't think he's a good fit in Los Angeles. That's the other move I'm not very high on. He can't really shoot it. He's got potential, but I think playing off of LeBron and maybe Russ, that's not the best use of the mid-level exception, the taxpayer. If I were them, I would have went heavily at a Bruce Brown or Gary Payton. But those two players signed in Portland and Denver, and those are my two favorite signings to go along with Isaiah Hartenstein. Denver got the perfect fit playing off Nikola Jokic and Bruce Brown from New York. Great screen and roll guy. He's like a 6'3" guard that's more of a forward. He's grown into a capable 3-point shooter. Teams will leave him open, and he hit 40% of the shots. So it's like, okay, if teams continue leaving him open and he consistently does that, then they have to start playing him from outside. So if he can make shots and he's a great screen and roll guy, great cutter, and an awesome defender, even at 6'3", that's exactly what Denver needs. They adding KCP. I'm pissed they traded Monte Morris because that was awful. Ish Smith is a horrible fit for them. I look at that move for the tradable barn that Washington I saw. I was like, that's a good move. You get KCP. And I think KCP is a better fit playing off Jokic, better defender than Barton. And then I was like, they traded Monte Morris. To me, the best backup guard in the game. I think he's better than Tyus Jones. He's one of the best, most efficient shooters, doesn't turn over the ball. And defensively, he's not as good as Tyus, but he's fine. He's not going to kill you unless you're playing Golden State. And now you have Bones Highland. I think he's really good. But Jamal Murray coming off a torn ACL, I said to yourself, you need two backup guards. You can't just have one. And Bones Highland's not that playmaker that Monte is. So I'm disappointed they moved Monte. And they also signed DeAndre Jordan. I hope he never plays because he's horrible at this point. In all due respect, I know he's a former All-NBA player, but he provides nothing outside of leadership and experience. And I'm surprised he still gets signed by these teams. Neither here nor there. I won't be playing, hopefully. Bruce Brown to Denver was awesome move. And I think Gary Payton for Portland, a very similar player, screen and roll guy at 6'3", he's going to bring great defense to the team that they desperately needed. Size. And the lack of size that Gary Payton has, only 6'3", he's an elite athlete. He's strong, he's tough. And I think just adding those athletic guards that can play so many different roles, I think that's huge for playoff teams. So Isaiah Hartenstein, Gary Payton to Portland, and Bruce Brown to Denver. Those are my three biggest moves. Brown, let's hear it.
So I'll give you a move that I'm just like confused by, because why does this guy not go out and just at least see what he can get on the open market? And that's Bradley Beal. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, yeah,
He's
all
getting
right,
the bag.
you get the bag, dude.
His birthday was a few days ago, bro. He's trying to get the birthday present.
Man, like he's showing that apparently, I guess he doesn't really care about the winning. So I don't know, because now if he wants to, if he demands a trade or something later on in the season, well, now a contending team's gonna have to give up a lot to get him, and it's like now instead of just meeting with teams like what I don't that didn't make any sense to me.
Mm.
I'm not a fan of the Dwayne Dedman coming back to Miami. I mean,
He'd look Spence in that Boston
he
series.
does, and we do need like a big man, like a center who can, like in the playoffs, maybe play like what 5-7 minutes just to give Bam a little bit of rest.
Mo Bamba would have been cool for y'all. Could space the floor
That
on
that
block shots.
yeah, that wasn't gonna happen because that's too much. He wanted too
10
much money.
million. Yeah.
We don't got that. Yeah, Dwayne Dedman. I've been screaming from the mountaintops for us to sign DeMarcus Cousins. I like DeMarcus Cousins. I think he can do something with given a chance to it. He really needs to be on a team. Like somebody needs to sign him to like a 2 or 3 year deal. Like, come on, it's DeMarcus Cousins. Like, give this guy a shot. I think with a little bit consistency, he can actually provide and show you some stuff. I liked Depot coming back to Miami. I think he's going to be a lot better offensively this year because of just multitude of injuries he's been through. I just think that's robbed him. I think defensively he showed you he still got it.
Yeah.
The hands are insanely fast. He's got some of the quickest hands in the NBA.
Jaylen Brown still having nightmares 2 months later.
Yeah, oh my God. It was just insane to see how many times that guy would get his hand on the ball and it'd be knocked loose. It was absolutely marvelous. And I think the biggest thing I like about this offseason is I think Brogdon to Boston. I'm not going to touch on it that much, but because we talked about it before, but I think that's what they needed and they got it.
What a use of the resources too. Just one first, getting the much needed fit. Also, shout out to Lou Dort. He was one of the most underpaid players in the league. He got a 5-year, $87 million extension.
Yeah.
Talking about players getting their bags. Jokic got the Supermax, most expensive contract in NBA history. He deserves every single penny. Devin Booker got it. He's the best player in the last 15 years. I think Booker deserves his. All these guys deserve them. Even Bradley Beal. I mean, I'm never gonna say a player doesn't deserve his money because hey, you earned it. You're in the NBA. You produce, even if your team is not like Washington, a playoff team. If you can be a consistent all-star caliber player, Bradley was down this year, but he still developed as a playmaker. You deserve that money. But like you touched on, I want to add one thing. Washington's going nowhere. With John Wall and Bradley as the second, we saw the team was fun, but this isn't Sacramento. It's not Orlando. It's one thing if you haven't made the playoffs in a decade and you're trying to be solid and make the playoffs to get the fans excited, but Washington's been through that for the last decade. Time to rebuild now, bro. Bradley Beal's not number one, and by the time you find this, like Kyle Kuzma's not it, Kristaps Porzingis is not it, and with the Eastern Conference being as good as it is, Washington's nowhere near a top 8 team. They added Monte Morris as a good addition. I thought Will Barton's pretty good. Will Barton's from also the DMV. I say to myself, if Bradley Beal is your number one, your ceiling is 45 wins. It's playing. It's first round exit every single time. You all have been through that. You've been to the second round. You've been so close to the conference finals. I was saying at the other episode, last NBA, they haven't won 50 games in over 35, 40 years. Wes Unseld was in the league, their franchise player last time they won 50 games. It's time to rebuild Washington. Ownership doesn't really have the willingness to be bad, I guess, to get a top pick to then become good. But That's how the NBA works. Like if you want to be really good, you got to be bad for a few years. It's just your next, Justin. They had that. They just didn't draft well. I think if you realize, oh, we're gonna be bad, we're gonna tank. We're gonna get ourselves a franchise talent at some point. You trade Bradley Beal. He got his money. Good for him. But yeah, I mean, I don't think teams will really care about how big his contract. He's the second most expensive player in the game now. I don't think teams really care about that because they see to themselves a guy who can fit that Chris Middleton role. I think if you put Bradley in a place like Milwaukee, he can be that player, no problem. He's just not number one. You know, you put Chris Middleton in this Washington team, it's the same
Like,
thing.
like, would you do like, let's say, I don't know, would you do like Chris Middleton and Brooke Lopez for and like a pick for Bradley Beal?
Beal's what, 1 year younger? I don't think I would because of the fit with Middleton, but I think Bradley will last a little longer because Middleton's what, 31? He
Yeah,
was drafted
and
in 2012.
he's coming off a knee injury.
He's gonna be
so
turning 31. He's coming off the same one too. I think Bucks fans will cringe at that. Honestly, I think Beal, though not the same fit Middleton is, he might be better long term.